Hi everyone, this is OTC. I trade with the Bear Bull Trader community, and this is my recap on FSLY. So first, on 5-minute time frame here, I took a testing hotkey trade here, then I took a long here with a bailout on this. I'll talk about it in more detail. Then I re-entered for another long. Took a couple of longs and a short here that should not have taken, poor trading. Then I took another long for this pretty good trade. So 1, 2, 3 longs, bad trading in here and testing some hotkeys. So let's look at all of them with a little more detail. So for the ORB, I was testing the Williams new hotkey. A guy who developed it for the Bear Bull Traders community. I was testing it to use it for the opening range break, an ORB, but it turns out that hotkey fills you, if you're going long, it fills you on the ask plus 5%, 5 cents for slippage. And on an opening range break, you want to get filled on pullbacks or filled on the bid, right? So especially on something like BABA or BYND or SQ or Myrna, the mRNA that have really large spreads, if you get filled on the ask, you might be 10, 9, 8 cents above the price you really want to get filled on. So I'm going to tweak or customize that hotkey to work a little better for me, and there's the stop out for that. So working on some new hotkeys there. So then as the day progressed and I set this FSLY on an auxiliary screen, drew this trend line. I saw it dip under as the SPY was selling off, so was this stock, right? So I set this pivot level or bottom here on this curve bottom, thought it might be important later. Well, sure enough, as it continued to sell off, I noticed this exhausted volume. And let's zoom in on that a little bit. So this trade here, saw this exhausted volume, noticed that the buyers came in, pushed up, I got in. Sure enough, the next candle I got a little bit spooked, but this exhausted volume was pretty strong to the upside. So this is probably a test candle down, but I got a little spooked and took a premature partial there. I took it for about 10%, so I didn't take too much of my position off, but I did lock in profits. Then I saw it, I noticed that it was on low volume, and after it made a stronger push up and saw that this was on lower volume, I didn't get too scared of it anymore. So my stop loss was the break of that wick. I like to get in closer to the bottom of this wick because that gives you a much greater risk to reward, and in case this price action turns against you, your R is a lot less, the loss of an R, right? But second partial was up here at the break of the 9 EMA. Then third partial was at that pivot level, that mark that I put in earlier that I showed you. So pretty good partials there. Then I noticed some retracement on low volume, more retracement on low volume, and here's my panic out. So let's talk about that. So notice here you have a double bottom. This stock has already sold off pretty hard throughout the day. Big move down, so now I'm trying to catch it for a move up, at least to VWAP. That double bottom set up, sorry about that, I hate when it does that, puts the big line in, but that gets the point across. Double bottom, I'm in with a stop out down here, and I bail on this. Well, it continues to make the move up. I notice it after my bailout, and I notice that it bursts or pushes with good energy. Even though it was on low volume, it pushes with good energy, get through this 50 SMA. It holds, and so I re-enter. Take a partial at that same pivot level, take another partial as it pops through, then we get a couple of buying strength candles on increasing volume here. I took another partial as it breaks through the 100 SMA. Then I notice it starts pulling back, but this candle here, I thought it was exhausted volume because it was large volume and I thought it was exhaustion to the upside. So I waited for this retracement and thought, okay, it's going to get one more little push and I'll take my last partial. Well, as I see this happening, then I notice again that push down was on low volume again. And if you look back while this was happening, I was looking back at some of the relative candles on green candles with volume, green candles with volume, and matched them up, and I noticed that that had been something that had happened a few times throughout the day, where you had anomalies, where you had either large volume and small candle, or like here, small volume, large candle. Large candle, somewhat small volume, right? Same with this one, not huge candle. So I recognized that and thought, okay, this might be the market maker playing around with us here. So I held on to the position. I took a small partial here instead of getting all out, and sure enough, I was rewarded for my analysis of the VPA, because I was able to get another partial into this level and then my last partial into previous day close. So really happy about my look back on the VPA there and comparing candles, because I won't lie, this activity here and what was happening in this area here, I was a little bit concerned and was ready to bail out again like I did here. But after doing that, after bailing out here, I was a little more cautious and proactive in doing my analysis of the VPA throughout the morning to not bail out on this pullback right here, right? So happy with that. Then stock came back down, retraced, and then it started chopping around. So the SPY was selling off, but FSLY was just consolidating while the SPY was selling off, probably waiting for the SPY to find its bottom so that FSLY could make its next move. So some poor trading here, a couple of long stop out, looks like a short, a stop out. Not a good job of watching the price action and taking good trades in there. And then I noticed this exhausted volume to the downside as I'm taking these poor entries, right? And then I get in on this. Not the greatest candle to get in on. I thought it was going to break after this guy selling off hard. But with my stop loss here, you could probably say I got a little lucky on this one. It held, came back down, retraced, didn't wick me out. Since I didn't have a great entry, but this was on low volume, got a nice little pop. When I saw that pop, I took a partial. Then I saw this next pop, and I saw both of these averages, these MAs here, the 100 and the 50 SMA, took another partial. And then on the pullback, took another partial. But then again, I stopped to think of the size of the candles with the size of the volume, and notice that all of this was happening on lower volume. There it goes, doing that large pen. Notice this was on lower volume, right? But then getting these selling pressure candles, so I took another partial. Then notice that the volume was starting to come in. Didn't know which direction this was really going, so I noticed that it was holding the EMAs and it was trying to hold the 50 over here, and had already done a good job of popping through the 50 previously, the 50 SMA and the 100 SMA previously, so I held on to it and I got rewarded. But then you see here, look at this exhausted volume to the upside. So that's when I decide, okay, it's time to take my final partials, get out, reward it all the way up to the 200 SMA. So pretty good trade. Wasn't easy to trade FSLY today. Would have been a lot better P&L if I wouldn't have chopped around in here and in this area where didn't know what to do with the 100 SMA and didn't know what to do with these EMAs 9 and 20, and the SPY was really affecting it at this time. So overall, pretty good job of trading FSLY. Still have some things to work on. Panic partials, bailing out, better recognition of VPA so I don't bail out, and then most importantly, not get chopped around with mess like that. So that was FSLY for today, August 24th. Thank you guys.